Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Clyde, otherwise known as JackersEdit, and you are here again to a new vlog video. The new vlog video I'm going to be talking about this time is going to be the subject of how to be a better storyteller. Alright, this is an essential skill that you must have if you ever want to be an interesting individual. If any of you ever seen my Q&A, I've given out a quick tip about how to be an interesting individual, and that is by taking the person who you're talking to into an experience. Take them into a compelling story, an experience for them so that it could be memorable. And at that point, you're going to be an interesting individual. So in that case, in this video, I'm going to expand on that, and I'm going to teach you how to become a better storyteller. Okay, but viewer discretion is advised. I'll give you two warnings. I am just an entertainer. Everything I say is based upon just entertaining you, really. So do not take my advice to heart. So don't take me seriously, in other words. Number two, wherever you live, if you live in United Kingdom like I am, or if you live in America, in Russia, or anywhere in this world, follow the land of the rules. Follow the rules of the land that you are living in. Okay? I do not promote criminal activities. I am a good citizen, and you might think I'm a bad guy, but hey, we all can be bad some days. What the hell? So, to be a better storyteller, I'll define to you what that means so that you and I can be at the right page. And I'm not just going to jump straight to this subject with everyone's different ideas of what the better storyteller is. So in this case, in this video, being a good storyteller by definition means that you are able to grab the person you're talking to attention, okay? You're able to grab their attention into what you're saying. That is how I define a good storyteller. Okay, and if that's a skill that you want acquired in your life so that you can be a better storyteller to whoever you're talking to, maybe you want to talk to your crush, okay, to someone you fancy, maybe you want to talk to a group, you want to be a good storyteller. Very, very useful skill. Okay, so what are the signs of the person who's listening to you is actually paying attention, who are actually what are the signs that they are attracted to what you are saying? Okay, this is universal, really. If they are attracted to you, this also can apply. Some of the signs that they are attracted to what you're saying, your storytelling, is that they position their body directly in front of you. Okay, well, they position the body right at you. So if you're facing there, right there, yeah, and this is I'm the person listening to your story, I position my body right in front of you. Okay, that's one point I can give you to them being attracted to what you're saying. That's one sign. Another sign could be that their feet are also pointing at you, and they're not just pointing away from you. Because if their feet is pointing away from you, you know that they want to run away from you. Okay, they want to run away from you. They're not interested in what you're saying because their body isn't completely it isn't facing at you. Another sign that they are attracted to what you're saying is they're making eye contact. You and that person who's listening are looking at each other's eyes. Okay, yes, there will be times where they'll look away. Okay, and then they break eye contact, but then they look back at you. Break eye contact, look back at you. It's like a dance, okay, where you do these moves. Okay, it's like a dance. You look at them, you look at the person you're dancing at in a way, and then you look at their eyes again. Okay, it's like a dance. And one more point is that they stop doing what they are originally doing and they focus their attention at you. For example, if they're looking at their phone, for example, okay, originally looking at their phone, if they put it away, they actually took their time to put it away and instead focused on listening to what you're saying, that means they are interested in what you're saying. So now that you know signs of attraction, signs of the person is actually interested in what you have to say, I'm going to give out 3 points to being a better storyteller, okay? By definition, again, being a better storyteller means that you're able to grab the person's attention into what you are saying. So what are the 3 points to make you a better storyteller? Point number 1, I'll give you an example, okay, at the very end of these, after I give out these 3 points, I'll give you a very, very powerful example that you can use to your own life, okay? Point number 1 to being a better storyteller is that you must have a subject to talk about, okay? A subject for you to talk about. And you don't just want to talk about any other subject, but if you can, try to speak to their interest. Meaning, if a person likes to go out, you talk about events involving going out. If a person likes sports, you talk to them about sports. If a person likes to stay home and read books or play video games, you talk about books and video games to them. This is what is known as speaking their language, okay? That's another video topic that I'm gonna address in a new video. But basically, you're speaking their language if you are you're speaking their language when you're talking about their interest, okay? You are not speaking about their language if you are not talking about what they're interested in. Meaning, if they're not interested in sports but you happen to talk about sports, they're not interested in that. Don't talk about sports up to them if they're not interested about that. So point number 1, you must have a subject to talk about. And in this case, you could talk about books, you could talk about video games, you can even talk about sports or events that happened. Alright? Point number 2, when you are telling your story, make sure you have a build-up in it, because that is the key factor that grabs the person's attention, the person who's listening to you, okay? It grabs their attention into wanting to hear more. The reason why you want to have a build-up in your story is that you want them, the person who's listening, to be compelled to what you are saying. You want them to find out more about this story. It's like a music piece, okay? Like dubstep. You know how music, or every music, they always have this build-up. It builds up, and then the drop comes. That's when a beat hits, okay? But in this case, you just want to have the build-up leading towards the drops. You know, the drops when everyone's jumping to the beats. Doosh, doosh, doosh. That's the drops, and this is the build-up right before the drops. Okay? You want to have the build-up in your story. And Dory, I'll give you an example again after I give out these 3 pointers. I'll give you a really good example on what I mean by these, on building up in your story. But before I could do that, I'll give you the 3rd point, which is, okay, so number 2, you must have a build-up in your story. Number 3, it must be through your own experience, okay? Everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. See it that way. Everyone has experienced something in their life, and so they have a story to tell to others. So you have a story to tell because whatever you've done today, you've experienced it. Okay? So it must be done through your own experience if you're gonna tell a story, a compelling story. So now that you know the 3 points, number 1, you must have a subject. Number 2, you must have a build-up in your story. And 3, it must be through your own experience, because really through your own experience is where you'll have a lot more knowledge in talking about it, because you've experienced it yourself. You've seen it firsthand. You've seen it through your own eyes, and so you are the person who's able to speak about it the best, okay, because you experienced it yourself. Right, I hope I'm making sense to you. Okay, the three points to being a better storyteller. Now that I've got that out of the way, I'll give you a personal example of how to be a better storyteller. In this case, the subject that I'm going to be talking about will be about books. Okay, I'll tell you about a story, the time when I experienced something to do with books. This is my phone then. Someone messaged me. Oh, I got an email from YouTube. So, this is my example of the story. So pretend you're like the group that I am speaking to. Everyone's gathering up. But before you could even do that, you want to actually call them out and make them gather around you. So to do that, this is what you say. Yo, everyone, listen to this. Listen to what I have to say, because I think you might find this probably the most interesting conversation you ever have to hear tonight. Okay? At this point, their heads will be turned to be like, what? They'll just stop looking at their phone, they'll put it in their pockets, and they'll turn their attention towards you, okay? Because you're calling them, gathering them together like a group, like a herd, okay? Not a bad thing, but here we go. Listen to what I have to say. That's what you say, you tell them. So yesterday, when I went out to town, I wanted to just relax and get away from all the noise that was causing me to think very poorly, you know, because of social media. There's a bunch of noise that's inflicting into my mind, and I just wanted to relax and go to Costa. But before I even went to Costa, I decided to go to a bookshop, okay, W.H. Smith in town. And as I was looking at the aisles, the bookshelves, I saw this one book. I saw this one book that really caught my attention, and I've heard so many great reviews about it, to the point where, hey, if this is such a great book, I might as well have a look at this. Okay, at that point, because it's a build-up, you know, point number 2, you must have a build-up in your story. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, what's this book all about? What's so important about this book? They'll be like that, okay? So tell us, what's the book called? What is it? So I picked up this book, held it in my hand, feeling very glorified. And you know what the title was? They'd be like, what is it? What is it? Probably something stupid. It'd be like that to you, okay? You tell them, well, this is what exactly the book that I picked up in that store. The book was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Okay, you look at the audience, you look at the group, and at that point, you're giving them the permission to speak now, okay? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And at that point, also, they'd be laughing. They'd be like, what? That's so stupid. Maybe they'd be like that, or maybe they're like, oh, why do you have a book about dads? Are you going to be a dad or something? And then at that point, everyone's like, everyone's so surprised to hear what you had to say. It's just a book about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you don't know what that book is, it's all about money, basically. Helps you improve your knowledge in the field of money. Highly recommend it. I have heard great reviews about it, but anyways, what are you gonna be, a dad or something? And then at that point, I could make a joke as well, and then I'll be like, yeah, I'll be your daddy, how's that? And at that, and after I say that, yeah, everyone in the group will burst out in laughter, okay? Because it's so unexpected to hear that from me. From a simple book turned into this joking conversation about me being their daddy or something. like seriously. This is what I am all about, okay? Joy, laughter, and fun. Everyone in that group stopped what they were doing because they felt like there was no purpose in the conversation. But at this point, when you had a subject to talk about, when it was your own experience, and you built up, you have a build up in your story, yeah, everyone's all compelled to hear what you had to say. And because I've said this, okay, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, everyone's had a discussion to talk about your own story, your story. Everyone's talking about you, your story, all right? And at that point, all their attention will be lost from you. Their attention will be lost from you, and they'll be talking among each other. And you do not want that, okay? If that's the case, if you haven't completed talking about your story, you want them to be more interested in what you have to say. And in order to do that, yeah, in order for you to grab their attention even more, because there's more that you have to say, you tell them, no, shh, there's more to this story than what you just heard. Okay, everyone stops. They're like looking at each other. Their body position are away from you because they're talking among each other. So they'll turn back to you. Okay, they'll turn back to you because they've already laughed. They've already found it hilarious and humorous from your first answer. After the build-up, okay. After the build-up, you've given them the answer. That's like the music drop. Boom, boom. Everyone's dancing. Okay, everyone's lost attention. But that's not it. There's more. Something in my tongue then. I think it was hair. There's still more, alright? Sorry about the lights, it like keeps flickering. There's still more. So after you've gathered them up again, there's still more, guys, okay? As I was holding this book, another thing sparked my interest to my left. And so I looked at another book that completely took my attention off the first book, and I picked this second book up. And in my mind, it was like a battle between which book should I get, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or this new mysterious book. And at that point, because it's a build-up mysterious book, yeah, they want to hear what you have to say for the second book, okay? The second book, what is it? They'd be like, what is this? What's the second book about? What is it called? The second book, which is the book that I've bought, I have it here right now. I'm holding it right now over here. The second book is called The Leadership Skills Handbook, okay? After you look at, pretending you're holding the book, The Leadership's Handbook, you look at the people. You look at the people again, you're giving them the permission to talk now. The Leadership Handbook. And so from there on, they'd be thinking to themselves, wow, why did you choose that over the other book? They might not even say that. They might even think, oh, that's funny. They might just nudge their heads, okay? And if that's the case, the word leadership, that's another subject to talk about. You can, if there's like a girls in the room, in a group, you could be like, girls, you might like this, okay? And then at that point, you can address the people, the group, and be like, I bet you like a guy who is a good leader, alright? And then they'd be like, oh, what are you trying to imply? What are you trying to say? Just like any other people that I've known, everyone would want to be with someone who can lead. Alright? And from there, the conversation begins, okay? New conversation starts. You have brought a new conversation to a start. All the attention were on you, and it all begun from simply talking about books, okay? Everyone's having a good time, everyone's joyful, everyone's sharing ideas with each other, and it all began from you talking about books, okay? Talking about books. I mean, you could be really, really daft and not be a good storyteller, and instead you could be like, okay, so I went to town just yesterday and I bought a book called The Leadership Skills Handbook. That's very plain, that's very basic. There's no build up on it, and so nobody's gonna care, okay? They wouldn't care about what you have to say about what you bought, because there is no build up. And in order to grab their attention, you have to look at their body position as well. If they're not facing you, you won't feel that connection. So again, make it sure that they are actually facing towards you, and then you must have a build-up. And whenever you're talking about a story, it must be based upon your own experience. That's how you could be a better storyteller. And that's just one example, okay? Talking about books. I could go on and talk about other things, okay? If you want, I could talk about phones, for example. All right? I'll give you another example. So you want to talk about the subject of phones, and how can you make talking about phones compelling, interesting, making them want to hear more from you. just by talking about phones. Okay, I'll give you a clear example. I'm improvising, by the way. You know, I'm always like, I get this sense of nervousness sometimes whenever I'm speaking, and I just feel like I want to retry it to make it the best, but this is what I'm doing now. I know there's a bit of cuts in this video, but I'm doing what I can. So let's talk about phones. I'll improvise. So last night, when I was playing a game on my laptop, Witcher 3, any Witcher 3 fans out there, I was playing Witcher 3. This is a real life example, okay, my own experience. Again, point number 3, must be your own experience. Okay, the subject is all about phones. So when I was playing Witcher 3 last night, I kept having this urge, this sense of feeling where this object is on my desk, constantly staring at me as I'm playing Witcher 3, a video game, okay? And every time this is dialogue that is playing, because as you know, Witcher 3 has plenty of dialogues, whenever there's dialogues playing, I kept having to reach for this mysterious object and interact with it. Guess what this object was? Boom. Boom. That right there, you've created a sense of build-up, okay? You're building it up. They're curious of what this object is, and so they'll ask, what is it? What's this object? This was my phone. Oh my gosh, everyone's gonna be laughing. Seriously, you built that up all because of a phone? Really? And surprisingly, I actually had a notification at that time. I had a notification from a girl inviting me out on Saturday. Okay, ooh, who's this girl? Alright, that right there, that is another build-up. Who's this girl who messaged you? But yeah, you get the point. So, if you're ever going to want to appear like an interesting individual, you must have a good storytelling skills. And in order to have a good storytelling skills, you must make yourself familiar with the 3 points. 1, have a subject to talk about. 2, have a build-up in your story. And 3, it must be your own experience. For all I know, that's just a brief example that I can give you of my own experience, my own storytelling. You could have your own. You have your own story to tell. I mean, if you're living in Earth and if you're living in Earth, basically you have a story. You have a story. Everyone has a story. And who are you in the story? What the hell did I just say? You have a story to tell. I mean, I could go on, giving you random examples. I could go on about talking about the subject of this hoodie. Okay, I could tell you about the times when I got into trouble in Las Vegas. To all those who didn't know, I was in Las Vegas. I was in the casino, right? I was in the casino wearing this hoodie, and I didn't even know the rules back there. I didn't know that you had to be 21 years old to be able to gamble in the casino. But guess what? I'm 20, and I didn't even have my ID back then. And so what happened was, this security lady came up to me and said, "Hey," whoa, I looked behind me. So she did not look happy at all. "Where's your ID?" Okay, she asked me for my ID, and I told her, I don't have one. And the next thing you know, I saw these 2 big, tall black guys coming up right behind me. Clearly, they were the bouncers, and they asked that lady, "Is something wrong?" But before they could even ask that, I said, "Don't worry, I'll be leaving now anyway." Okay, and she said to the bodyguards, they were like, "No, everything's fine." Still giving me that devilish eyes, as if, "You better fucking leave." They're like that. But I had to follow the rules and actually exit because I was underage, even though I already broken the rules in the first place, which I was so unaware of. What does that make me? A rebel? A bad boy? You can call me what the hell you want. I literally didn't know that you had to be 21 in order to gamble in a casino in America. Here in United Kingdom, if you're 18, you have your ID, yeah, you can do that. But I didn't even have my ID, so that's even funnier. That's what makes it even more funnier, just going in there and blending in. But yeah, everyone has their own story to tell. I mean, you don't have to be all romantic and be all fairy tales and be like, once upon a time, there lived a princess who was so lonely in her bedroom that she decided to go out. Okay, so one day she decided to go to Costa and got herself a nice warm cup of coffee. And you know what happened next? A guy entered the building, entered the coffee shop, and he instantly made eye contact with the princess, and the princess made eye contact with this mysterious man. Who's this mysterious man? Everyone's all asking. Okay. well, basically that's it. I'm not gonna continue. True story. Who's this guy? This guy said, okay, I'll continue. Bonus piece, this guy said, first of all, this guy said hi and he waved at her. And in reply, she said hi back and waved at him back. And at that point, when they were making eye contact, clearly there was a sense of attraction going on between them. True story. Who is this guy, you may wonder? Who's this guy? That guy is you, if you're a guy. And who is this princess? That princess is you, if you're the girl. That could be you in the story. I don't know, you all have your own story. I'm just making shit up at the moment. Making a fairy tale up. Well, it could be a true story. That could actually happen. But yeah, that's basically it. So to conclude, how do I define a better storyteller? Is someone who can grab the person's attention. And there are key signs to know that they are actually attracted to you from the way they position their body. Okay? And the 3 points that makes a person a good storyteller is 1, that person must have a subject to talk about. Point number 2, that you must have a build-up in your story whenever you're telling your story. And 3, it must be based upon your own experience. So that's it for this vlog. I hope you learned a valuable lesson. If you did, go ahead and share this stuff. Maybe you could help a person out and improve their social skills. Okay? Do I consider myself a professional guy who knows how to talk? Maybe not. I'm still improving to this day, and one of the best way to improve, if anything, one of the best way to improve any skills is by teaching others what you have learned. All right? And I learned this through experience, by the way. Shout out to all my mentors, all the mentors that I learned from. But anyways, as my favorite teacher once said, Araj Dibasar, be the best and fuck the rest. My name is Clyde and I represent JackersEdit. Take care, y'all.